It's easier to read the label when you're not in the bottle. That is, it's easier to see someone else's situation more objectively and more clearly than it is to see your own situation. At least it feels like that. And it should, because there's value in an outside perspective. There's value in someone else's years of experience and their wisdom and their distance emotionally from a situation. And so that puts us sometimes in a situation where we want to give advice and we see something that someone else doesn't see and we feel compelled to help them. And that's good. So the question is that person willing and able to hear what you have to say? I like to work with people who are raising their hand rather than sitting on their hands. That is, they're actively looking for help. They're asking my opinion or they're seeking some input from somebody rather than somebody who's sitting on their hands who it feels like you have to convince them of everything and everything's an argument and they just aren't willing to hear what you have to say. And sometimes it's not obvious which person you're talking to. Someone may have raised their hand initially and said, "Hey, can you give me some insight into my situation?" And then as you start to give them your perspective, suddenly you realize, no, they're actually sitting on their hands and this is something where I'm trying to convince them and that just doesn't work. So you do have a different perspective, an outside perspective than the person you're talking to that has value. Your perspective, your distance all brings value to the situation. But that doesn't mean the other person is ready to receive that value. And so first look for somebody who's raising their hand, who's actually literally asking you for your thoughts and input. And then as you're giving that, make sure they continue to be raising their hand and not sitting on their hands, because you just can't get someone who doesn't want to hear something to hear something. And even if you can get them to hear something, they're certainly not going to take action on it. So work with people who are looking for your help, not people who aren't looking for your help.